Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is KJ Live. Chris Johnson is in the building. Today's guest on the show, former college basketball coach and New York City legend, Emmanuel Book Richardson is in the building. What's up, Book?
Hey, Chris, I appreciate it. Sometimes that word legend, man, it's thrown around. I'm not sure if I'm there yet, but I appreciate the love.
Nah, man, with you, hey, in our eyes, and for those that know, you a legend, my man. Book, for those of us out here that don't know your background, just talk a little bit. I do this every show, right? I started off the same way with everybody. I want to know where you were born, the city, and the neighborhood.
So again, I've always said, man, I'm New York's own. I was born in Queens, raised in Harlem, lived in the Bronx, spent a little bit of time in Brooklyn. The only place that I haven't lived in is Staten Island. But again, I try to show my love to all five boroughs, and also like upstate, living in Yonkers. But, my basketball beginnings are extremely humble. In Harlem, Dunleavy Milbank Center, happened to be around, pretty talented young men. And at the time, I think started at 10 years old. My stepfather had a candy store on 117th in Lenox, and he sold almost everything out of that candy store. So a lot of the things that I saw, that were abnormal became extremely normal to a 10-year-old, and basketball was my outlet. And I was, again, extremely blessed to have some great people to be involved, like Mike Wright, who was a coach of mine, Shavon Glover, who very close in age, but just always took me under her wing and introduced me to basketball and the love of basketball. Those people, I don't talk about enough, who really gave me an insight to, man, this is such a beautiful game.
Yeah.
And Tommy Swinton, who coached me at 10 and 11 years old in this deal called Small Fry, 5'1" and under,
okay,
8-foot baskets.
Okay. I remember that. I remember those days.
So those are some of the people that have introduced me into basketball and started me on this crazy journey.
Now, and you came up with talk about the AAU scene just as a 10-year-old in your era in New York. What was it like? Who were some of the contemporaries coming up hooping along the same time as you?
I was extremely fortunate and blessed to watch Kenny Anderson.
Wow.
At 12 and 13 years old.
Wow.
I got to see Chibs. You watch guys like Malik Sealy,
oh yeah,
Adrian Autry, Brian Reese, Anthony Cade, Darrell Reed, Michael Thompson, Eddie Rivera, Chucky Martin. Those guys who were really good and all city guys. It was way different because now you travel so much, in AAU. Back when I was growing up, before you got to high school, it was maybe 1 or 2 trips. It was the Nationals, or it was Small Fry, or it was Little Lads, but it wasn't like Made Hoops.
Big deal.
Made Hoops circuit.
Yeah.
And Chad has done an awesome job with Made Hoops, but I've also said to Chad that you've opened Pandora's box a little bit wider.
Yeah.
And now, I think some of us who want to be guardians of the game, the quote unquote legends, you stand in front of Pandora's box and you try to not let it be open much more because it's already open. Right. So like I said, for me, having an opportunity to watch Kenny Anderson, like we're in Atlantic City, I watched him get 80 points.
Dang.
In an all-star game. I watched him, be the best in the city. I watched Khalid Reeves, I watched Derek Phelps, Conrad McCray, Jamal Mashburn. In my era of high school basketball, I'm not saying it was the golden age, but we were looked at as the baby Big East. You at one point, you had multiple teams from the Catholic High School League in the top 10 in USA Today basketball.
Yeah, I remember.
So, that's what I grew up with. And I think like right now, we've skipped steps, and we consistently skip steps. And now we have everyone that thinks like it's the microwave era. I can do it right now. Or, hey, my 7th grader needs a deal. And it's like,
it's wild. It's wild.
7th grader, what's really good about him, he's going to be an 8th grader. But it's just, there's so much more attention that's on it. The parental involvement is there. And like I said, I'm now looking at a situation where I talked about this before. There was a van culture where all the kids got in the van and they were with a coach and they listened to and now there's a car culture because The parents are now driving their kids everywhere, and guess who they're listening to?
Them, the parents.
So that agenda is now, hey, and I would say this because there's also a genuine affection and love for the parents, because if you do this since second grade on, Chris, you're now a consumer, and any good business person understands that the consumer is always right.
Yeah.
So if I'm a parent and I've been shelling out money to go to a tournament, every 3 to 4 months, guess what? That's now an investment.
Right.
Whereas we didn't have that. The coach was always right. And there wasn't a lot of switching teams. Now, again, like I said, I've had guys switch teams, middle of a tournament. And, again, the adults, talk about leadership. And it's like, in the real world, if you're at a job, you can't just leave.
No.
There's a 2-week notice. There's some protocol that you go through.
Right. Word.
And like I said, I don't blame my parents. I blame our adults. I blame our older coaches who don't address that situation, because we're willing to win at any cost. And my point is, what are we willing to win? What are you winning?
Yeah, a trophy.
7th grade nationals.
Yeah, a medal.
Yeah, well, that's nice. But when they get to college and we say, well, what's wrong? Well, when they get to college, there's no unified, high school situation where there's a shot clock. In college basketball, there's a shot clock.
Absolutely.
In some states, there's no three-man officiating crew. There's 2 men. So again, why is there a disconnect? The disconnect starts with the adults.
Yeah.
The kids will do what we ask them to do, but the disconnect starts with the adults. So again, I was fortunate enough that ruled and kind of turned out okay. Yeah. To now where the adults who are ruling now, it's about, can I get a sneaker contract? Can I get a point on the contract? Can I make sure that I do the kids' marketing?
Yeah. Now, Book, but let me ask you something about that. Do you think that's wrong? Like, because you come from there's different type of basketball people. There's the folks that do it out the love, that don't care about getting a dime. If they did get a dime, it's not for them, it's for the kids, etc. And then there's the guys that have the other agendas, that are doing it to get the point on the contract, to get the marketing deal set up with the agent. Talk about, though, just the differences in them two type of guys that exist in our culture.
I have no issue with anyone, how they conduct their business. Again, I'm the guy that went to jail for 90 days. So I always go back to, however you conduct your business, just make sure the kid's good.
Yeah.
And if you have a situation where there's a kid that you think like, hey, he needs help and he wants your help and someone's asking for your help, again, to each his own. Just make sure the kid's good, because if and when the kid's good, everyone else will be good.
Yeah.
But if the kid's not good, like, we're trying to push the kid because that's the ticket. Eventually, if he's not good, then no one's going to be good. And I'm like, not to talk in riddle, but I've always said, when the kid's set up for a situation to go to the right school, and that school takes care of that kid or whomever, but the kid is being taken care of and he's being looked after, he's being coached, he's being held accountable. Well, that's helping him in life.
Yep.
And if that kid if he can make progress in life, he or she's going to turn into a young man or woman.
Sure.
And they're going to have the principles and morals based on, I know what's right and wrong. Right now, we have, we have young kids that turn into these adults that they're 28 years old and they're still on scholarship. And it's like, well, I didn't teach you how to fish because I kept feeding you, and now guess what? I don't feed you no more because I got to find the next one. You kind of like fall from grace.
Yeah.
So again, that's the school thing, because again, if let's say a university, a high major university said, hey, our retention, we want to keep you around. So each year you stay, we'll give you at the end of your year, we'll give you 20 grand, right?
Yeah.
30 grand. And after every year, hey, I have an incentive to stay. I stayed, I have a 2.3 after my first year. I got a 2.5 after my second year. I got a 2.7 after my third year. And by the way, I got a 3.0 at the end of my fourth. Look what we're creating into the world. Versus these kids are not leaving because they quote unquote want to. This is just their platform to basically go make money, because there's nothing else in the country that you're telling a kid he has to do something. I always say this: if Chris Brown or Justin Bieber had to go to school for a year, do you know what people would do to get them? If Rihanna or Britney Spears had to go to school for a year,
please,
they're forced to go to school.
Yep.
You know how talented they are? Do you know what the executive at Sony would do?
Yeah, everything.
There's no telling. But we always, we make it to demonize the revenue generating sports that are played by who?
Black.
And my point is, like, guys, if you gave them an incentive to stay, other than, hey, you're going to graduate, you got guys that graduate and they can't balance a checkbook.
Nah, that's a good point.
Because it's always done. So, again, I think there are a lot of things that can be done, especially with these platforms. And, as I look at what I knew at 10 versus what I know at 48, like this, but even answering the question, I don't look down my nose at anyone, how they conduct their business. Just make sure that kid is all right.
Yeah.
Because if the kid's fine, like, again, LeBron James growing up, you don't think how many people he had pulling at him? He got through all the noise. Again, he dealt with mom. He dealt with the Four Horsemen. He dealt with high school. By the way, he's one of the most powerful people in sports.
Yep.
He's one of the most powerful people in the world with his platform. By the way, he was the one that wasn't supposed to do it. That kid came straight out of high school. Come on, man.
Yep. With nothing, with his mom. Nah, much respect to Bron.
With his mom, Gloria.
Yeah. Book, St. Raymond's. You went to St. Raymond's. Talk a little bit about that experience there, and then your college choice and why you decided to go that route.
St. Raymond's was probably the greatest time of my life. I was a kid that was tough to coach. Coach Gary DeCease, I give him all the credit in the world. He's like a dad to me. But, I was a 13, 14-year-old kid who had all the answers. I was a 13, 14-year-old kid who I was in the streets. I was a kid that whatever I didn't learn, the streets taught me. And I was a really quick learner. And the joke used to always be like, hey, Book's graduating from UCLA. What's that? The university on the corner of Lenox Avenue.
Ooh.
Because whatever my mom didn't teach me, my mom had me at 15 years old. We grew up together.
Word.
Whatever she didn't teach me, the streets were willing to teach. And the streets are undefeated because the streets have no plan.
Right.
So you go to St. Raymond's. That was the most discipline that I've ever had to deal with. As a freshman, I get like 18 a game. And this guy, Gary, Coach DeCease, moves me up. And I'm playing with Terrence Rencher, the all-time leading scorer at the University of Texas. Best friend in life. Our sophomore year, we play varsity. And I think we have like 11 and 17. We get punished. It's Terrence, Orlando Antigua.
Woohoo. Pitt.
Sophomores.
Pitt. Yeah, I know all these guys.
We had Linwood McGreer, Carl Green.
Okay.
We get punished. But the great thing about it, we didn't skip a step. We took our lumps.
Yeah.
Junior year, we get on the scene, and we played hard. Coach DeCease had a plan. We have a really good freshman team. Dana Dingle, Danny Basil, they're on those teams.
Wow.
Trevor Redfern, like those guys are younger, but guess what? We're playing and we have a system. And coach, what he does is he holds me accountable. What uncomfortable. Again, I've learned a lot what not to do because of Coach DeCease. But on the flip side, he had to do that at the time. Because you got a guy that's running roughshod. I'm the leader of that team, whether I wanted to be or not, because those guys kind of were like,
they gravitated towards you. Yeah, they gravitated
because, again, I'm the kid with $200 shoes as a freshman.
Yeah.
I'm the guy, I had certain things, I was afforded certain things because of what I was doing in the streets.
Right.
So again, you come to school with a pocket full of money and they're like, you don't work.
Yeah.
Or you come to school and it's like, you got the new Jordans on. Those joints don't come out for 2 weeks. You got 3 pair of them?
Yeah, high school, you the man. Come on now.
What happens, they didn't realize that, I had these issues, man. Again, didn't grow up with a father. My mom, again, was, she was learning herself as she's growing up more my sister than anything else. I saw so much grief. You know, I saw my first dead body at 10 years old. And you know, so when I got to high school, you know, you go through your freshman year, you have success. My sophomore year, I started falling out of love because the streets always had, I was always in love with two women. And I'm just telling you, man, it's when the streets have a hold of you, they got you because the allure of the fast cars, the pretty women. You know, I'm 14 years old, I'm dating a 17-year-old. No, I'm 15, I'm dating a 38-year-old. Like, just think about that. The lunacy in that.
No, yeah.
That wasn't helping me. That was taking away my innocence. So as I say that, my junior year, we have a great year. You know, we beat in 1 week, we beat Talentine. Adrian Autry, McDonald's All-American. Yeah. Brian Reese, McDonald's All-American. Anthony Cade, McDonald's All-American. We then beat Hayes, Jamal Mashburn, New York State Player of the Year. This is our junior year.
Yeah.
And these guys are seniors.
Yeah.
And then we, I forgot who else we beat in that week, but we became nationally ranked. So, you know, like Charnel Scott, excuse me, like people forget about these names, but like these guys were like NBA players.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we get to the quarterfinals of the city playoffs, and we play against Christ the King.
Oh.
Khalid Reeves and Derek Phelps, they get 26 apiece on me and Terrence. Khalid was supposed to get 26. Derek wasn't supposed to. That wasn't his deal. So he punished me.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable. But you know what? We took our lumps, and then we came back as seniors. So as seniors, now you got guys who were 3-year starters, myself, Orlando, Terrence. You have Dana Dingle, went to UMass. Danny Basil, who went to Marist, who shot it. We had a lot of weapons, man. Yeah. Tyler Brown, who was a sophomore, Damon Bonaparte. And I say these names because they're still important to me because I never want to let legends die. Mm-mm. I can keep a legend alive if I speak them into existence.
Absolutely.
So those guys were important because St. Raymond's in 1991, we won our first ever city championship game.
Oh, that was your first one. Okay.
First one ever. And by the way, I'm gonna tell you the greatest story. I was late to that game because I wanted to go get a haircut.
Where you get your haircut at?
My godmother at the time, and my brother, be the barber, Brian, he was like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you here? I want to look fresh for TV. He said, the fuck out of here. What are you doing? And I showed up late, and the athletic director looked at me, and Gary, coach looked at me, and we won the game. And it was one of those things, man. I just was like, he knew that I didn't pout. I was cheering, and because it was more about the team, because the team was my family. Word. I don't have a lot of biological siblings, but again, through the streets, I've gotten a lot of love, and I've gotten so many, brothers and sisters and moms and dads, because that's the one thing that I never knew I wanted, but I needed it. So you go to St. Raymond's my senior year, man. I thought I was going to Hawaii.
Who's the coach out there?
And they came to Riley Wallace.
Riley, yep, okay.
Sent an assistant to come see me because we had played in Hawaii, and we won the championship in Hawaii. We beat Harker Prep.
Okay.
Then we went from Hawaii to San Diego, and then so at that time I think we were number 1 and number 2 in the country. We played against St. Anthony's in the championship game of San Diego.
Wow.
Danny Hurley punished me. I think he had like 28 in the first half. And it was funny because Danny just had my number, man. Like, I could play well against anybody else. It's just, Danny had my number.
Yeah.
5-star all-star game. I remember Clark Francis saying it was no competition. I was like, I'll kill Danny. No, you won't, Book. No, you won't. And we kind of laugh at that to this day because Danny's like, Book, because I played against you, I was able to get a Division I scholarship.
Wow. That's hilarious.
So, again, I'm very honest about my career and who I am. I think sometimes guys shy away from that. Like, if somebody was better than me, they were better than me.
Word.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Go through the year, and I'm telling you, I fell out of love with basketball, man. The streets.
So you was heavy in the streets, Book. So, like, how much time in the streets was you actually really spending? Just so people can get an idea just of like your actual, and not getting too deep, but just hours, like all day or what, man? Like, was you only hooping and then you back out to the streets right after practice, or you going home, or you chilling? I mean, talk about that process.
I brought it with me. You know, it was times when coach went to my locker and I was like, that's not my locker. Word. I had like 3 or 4 lockers. Word. So, you know, it's one of those things where it became survival. I lost my stepfather who provided. So I lost him as a sophomore. And I had to figure some things out because again, mom, you know, she did the best that she could do. She gave me everything she could do. But again, as you know, as kind of the man of that house, we had to figure some things out. And, you know, when we practiced, you know, he would always say, I want to make you tired so you don't go back outside. So, you know, if we got done with practice at 6:30, you know, 7, I was home, and I'm going from about 7:15, 7:30 to about 4 or 5, sleep a couple hours, do what you need to do, get back, you know, you going back to school. The 40 went to the 40 bus, and that's what it was. And you took a cab, and, you know, but that was every day. And, you know, what happened, your comrades that were doing the same thing, there was a brotherhood. You had to figure some things out, you know, and
you still hooping. But the fascinating part of that is you still hooping at a high level on the top rank, one of the top ranked teams in the nation, going to bed at 4 and 5 in the morning, getting up, hitting the grind, whoop-de-whoop. That part of it is amazing. I mean, and it's not to glorify a book, but it definitely is a strength. And it definitely is a testament to your character, especially if you're able to channel and funnel that in different directions, which you ultimately did. You feel me?
So part of that, Chris, for me was I still felt the obligation because I had a team of dudes with me who, if you ask anybody, what was it like dealing with Book in high school, like at a game, at an away game, at a home game? It was about 20 of us. And I'm, again, at 5'8", I'm probably the tallest guy. So you're dealing with some guys with some book bags on who knew, like, after the game, come on, we back at it. Word. We back at it. Word. And after a while, it became normal. And the one thing Coach talked about, he said, you know, you're going to either end up in jail or dead. And I was like, I don't know, that's not true. Because, you know, I said this to someone the other day, like, I never thought I'd be 18. I never thought I'd be 25. Like, so at 48 right now, I'm still dreaming because I never planned on this. I never planned a funeral. I never planned anything other than just living day by day, because what I grew up with on 1249 Clay Avenue in the Bronx, what I grew up with in Harlem on 149th Street and 117th Street, like, I've lived so many places, so I've been able to adapt. And, you know, that sense of oneself, it was from the dudes who gave you the most love. And maybe that love wasn't probably the right way, because I'll never endorse the choices that I made.
Right.
It wasn't forced on me.
Right.
The allure of being outside breaking day, the allure of watching things happen, the allure of being like, oh, snap, such and such, the allure of being with an older woman, the allure of saying, like, you know what, I'm 15, but I got 25,000 on me. Like, that, I would tell any young person, there's better feelings in the world than that, but I didn't know.
Right.
So then guess what? I just was like, I'm trying to go far away
from this.
Is from this. So I picked Florida Atlantic. Chris, like I told you, Hawaii came in and coach had suspended me. Yeah. You know, every year I was suspended the first game.
Okay.
It was like clockwork. It was like, he always talked about, I was the best point guard in St. Raymond's history. And I've always said, I'm not top 5. Like, I think Eddie Rivera, Kareem Reed, like those guys, like point guards, Majestic Map, killers. Majestic. I just probably was one of the toughest guys because of everything that I had to deal with.
Yeah.
And what coach realized was like, hold up, you got what in this school? With who? So, you know, you pick Florida Atlantic, and I go to Boca Raton, and guess what, man? I get kicked out.
For what?
Couple of reasons. I got caught with a gun on campus.
Okay.
I was trying to figure some things out.
Yeah.
I also got caught robbing basically the school. I was taking a bike key and I was opening up the wash and dryers, and I was taking a candlestick with some gum on it, and I was taking all the quarters out. You can't take the kid from New York, and
it is what it is, dog.
Yeah, you know.
But how did that like the embarrassment from that? So because it sounds like the arc, right? You was in the streets for St. Raymond's. You somehow decided that you wanted to go to college and wanted to do something better with yourself. You get to college, Florida Atlantic. You still kind of doing some of the same stuff. How did you respond to that when you got suspended? Like, what was your mindset? Was it at a point of like, yo, I need to snap out of this shit and get my shit together? Or was it like, fuck it, I'm going back to the street. Fuck this. You know what I'm saying?
The streets always welcomed me. And that's what I had to understand. Like, they're welcoming because the streets have no plan and they'll always take you back.
Word.
And I'm telling you, as I dealt with that embarrassment, I got tired of letting my mom down, man. I got tired of letting Coach DeCesar down. I felt like I was New York, and I got tired of just letting everybody down. And I tried to just work, and it's like, man, it was tough because, again, you're talking about at 14 and 15 having a car, and people telling your mother like, Book's got a car, and it's like, no, he doesn't. And I'd park it 2 blocks around, and it's like the things you had to do, to watch, being a young adult, and having the kid at 17, man, my oldest daughter, Chastity.
Yeah.
You talk about the embarrassment of, I got to now try to do this right. I go to Boca Raton, Florida, and, I said to myself, am I the most toxic person ever? Because everything I deal with, I got this charisma and I got this stuff about me, but is that just my representative or am I this guy that's like, I'm tricking everybody? Because like my greatest failures, man, and excuse my emotion because, again, I still live in that. I still live in that. So, when I get suspended, then I get kicked out. And I think who really saved my life at that time was Terrence Rencher, because he got in trouble at Texas at the same time.
Okay. And
I just was like, you know what? He's a pro. I've said, Lefty. I've said Tease. I thought he was a pro since 13, and I didn't know what a pro was, but I just know he was better than me. And I said, yo, I think if I got myself together, he would be fine. Again, I tried to channel in so many things, Chris, because I get kicked out of Florida Atlantic, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I deserve everything I got. I deserve, and I would say this: they tried to help.
Did they?
They tried to help.
Okay.
I just wasn't in the space to receive help.
Okay.
I had a Dr. Patricia Norm. She was geography class. I didn't show up for a month, and she was like, I showed up. We had a good game, and she was like, oh, man, you Richardson. Why haven't you been in my class? Go tell your AD and your coach they need to write me a letter. She was holding me accountable. But Chris, I get kicked out, and then it's like I come back to New York. My mom had moved. She's in a house in Georgia, Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
So you're able to take care of your mom. Now it's like it's wilder than all outdoors, because the streets always welcome you.
Yeah.
If you have value, they're gonna welcome you with open arms. Streets have no plan. They're undefeated because they have no plan.
Yeah.
It's fluid. It changes. I then go to junior college, Farmingdale, for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not sure I want to do this, man. And my high school coach said, come on into the office. Coach DeCesar, he said, come on in. I was defiant. I hadn't talked to him. And he said, someone told me that you're going to be dead in less than a year. Someone told me the best thing that could ever happen to you is if you get locked up for about 10 years.
Because it saved your life. Like,
that's a word.
Yeah.
I'd go to that man's office. I remember I had this this lumberjack jacket, this Woolrich jacket on, some Timbs on, jeans, and got a couple of guns on me. Again, like fitting the description. And he said, "Take your coat off." I said, "No." I said, "I can't, coach. I'm cold." He said, "Take your coat off." And that was that moment where I looked in his eyes and like I broke down and he just held me because he knew, he just was like, "Yo, maybe it's just love you need." He said, "But what are you doing this for?" And I didn't know. And you know what? He gave me a job I started cleaning the floors in St. Raymond's Elementary School. He said, "Just show up." And it was the weirdest thing because like now this is my first real job. I'm like, hello, these dudes do this from 8 to whatever. Oh, I got the night shift because I'm still thinking, okay, I got the night shift there, boom, I got the day shift on Clay.
Yeah.
I'm down. But it just was like, nah, no. And Monroe Community College comes around, and this guy, Steve DeMail, who recruited me out of high school, I think he was at Wagner. No, that was Coach Brady at Wagner. And he was like, I said, all right. So at that point, like I had never received any financial aid because my mom was there. I just paid everything in cash. And dude was like, "What? Here's the cash." It was like, it don't work like that, man. Like, yo, either you get a check. Nah, here's the cash.
Yeah.
And it will always be like, okay, well, here's that much, boom. Here's that much, you know what I'm saying? How much did you say? You said 11, okay. That's 4. That's 6. Oh, sure. Okay, boom. Yep. That's 11. Yep. Can you count it? No. It's counted. Wait. Wait, what?
Right.
Just weigh it. It's 20s. You know what I'm saying? It's it's going to be a pound. What? So now you're there, and now I got like-minded people there with me. My backcourt mate, who he's looking like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm looking like, "You hoop?" Because we knew each other from some other stuff.
Right.
So it's like, what are you doing here? Man, we go 28-3. We lose in the, we're number 1 in the country. Division III JUCO. We have like the 16-game winning streak. I lead the nation in assists, and I fall back in love with basketball. Because it was pure. I'm at Monroe College. They all they did was take a liking. They again, Roberta Greenberg, Kathy Murphy, they became my mom. Dr. Ephraim became my dad. I belonged to something that was greater than myself, who I can make proud of, other than the streets. Because I'm telling you.
No, that means something.
God has blessed me. Yeah, God has blessed me to be like, look, you can see it. And then after that, my eligibility for Division I think I had like a year to go, or I could go Division II, and I had 2 years. So I went to Pitt Johnstown and led the nation in assists 2 years back to back. Became an All-American. And by the way, I didn't even like basketball anymore. But it was just one of those things where it was like a sense of belonging. And it was like, all right, this is kind of what I do. And, again, I had a great coach, Bob Roccavina, who, by the way, became a dad to me. Because as I got older, I didn't realize I had toxic mommy issues because I want my mom. But guess what? She's 15, man. She's growing up. She's not my girlfriend. She's my mother. But guess what? I didn't want to share my mom.
Yeah. I know.
I didn't want to share. I just want to, I'm a mama's boy. And I didn't know that at the time because of what you did in the streets. Mama's boys don't do that. So, Monroe was a great experience. Then I go to Pitt. We go to the NCAA Division II tournament 2 years in a row from a school that's never won. And you would say like it's something special about you. I'm like, nah, well, I'm out here. But I'm a little bit older. And
at what point?
I then
I'm sorry, Book. My bad. Go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, at what point did you? Because leading the nation in assists, but you said you fell out of love with basketball. So maybe you were going through the motions. So did you know that you wanted to do coaching, or did you have an inkling of wanting to continue to play? Maybe look at overseas, maybe CBA, USBL, or anything like that. to try to continue hooping, or you was like,
I went to Madrid and was politely asked to leave.
What you do over in Madrid, Book? Book, what you do over there, man?
So Chris, that's what I'm saying. Like, God has a sense of humor, because I always say that God has this great sense of humor because he's given me 3 daughters because he knew how I was. And so he laughs at me like, deal with that. You get over there and you think you're bigger than the culture. I'm not speaking Spanish, so after a while, again, they didn't need an undersized point guard who could assist the basketball. They needed somebody who could score. They needed somebody, again, when you go to a bull fight, I don't care what you do to a bull. I just want them to die.
Word. They
didn't need someone facilitating. They needed someone to score. And I thought that my way was the right way. And we had a difference of opinion and they politely asked me to leave.
Okay.
With no pay. So it was great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And then coach, so then that's when you decided to get into coaching?
I came back home and my college coach was like, why don't you stay in Johnstown? Why don't you stay in Pennsylvania? Live with me. You're going to be a great coach. I never thought I would coach. That was never on my ever.
Wow.
Because I kept saying like, I couldn't coach me. Knowing that, no, I needed me to coach me. That's the give back. So as you go through this stuff, I'm coaching, at Johnstown. I come back to coach at St. Raymond's because Oliver Antigua, who's Orlando's brother.
Yeah.
I at one point, was coaching at a junior college. Because by the way, sorry, I skipped the whole step. When I came back, I started doing like investment banking with JP Morgan Chase.
Okay. How'd you get into that? How you get into that?
I'm just telling you, like, this guy named Peter Lindsay, took my resume and was like, yo, this dude, basketball player, team guy, smart. All right, this book. Oh, the other stuff. No, you talented. All right, guess I'm talented. And I got hired on a specialized investment team. I dealt with commingled funds and retirements. And lo and behold, I'm working I'm working. And I'm telling you the way God works, man. I watched the towers fall. Like I watched the second tower get hit. I worked in Brooklyn. Literally, like, only thing that separated us is New York Harbor.
Wow.
I watched people jump. Like it was like a movie. It was life imitating art. And my team was broken up. And at that point, I didn't know what else to do because my son was born. And I'm like, nah, streets, no way. I got this little boy. I had, again, my oldest daughter, I had no contact. She left. Mom took her away, and rightfully so, because I was unstable, let alone a father, but a human being.
Right.
And, you go through this, and I started teaching second grade. I was a substitute teacher. I went to interview it, and they were like, you don't have the qualifications other than a degree, but when was the last time a Black male was a coach, was a teacher in grade school? Usually, they're Jewish women.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about my greatest teachers, like, wait, Miss Barron, I love my third grade teacher. Okay, she was a Jewish woman. Wait, Miss Chase, Miss Burns, oh, I love them. Okay, my seventh grade teacher, hold up. And I love them. You start to think about it. That's who was teaching you.
Yeah.
So then I got a job at a little bit more permanent as teaching 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and in the Bronx, MS 306. And I'm talking about, I was like the third third teacher in like a month. Those kids were unruly. Like, and I had one young lady, she was a little bit older than the age, and she was like, what you doing here? I said, what? Guess what? In a month, man, because I was so much like those kids, we had a great rapport.
Yeah.
And then I went to coach. I went to teach at Good Shepherd, 7th and 8th grade. And, I started realizing, like, man, I got a love for this. I got a passion for it. My practice, my lesson plans weren't great, but I could teach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what the Gauchos gave to coach their 14s. And Julius Allen had brought me in. He said, hey, I want you to assist me with Ronald Ramon, Russell Robinson, Sunyata Gaines. Those names meant absolutely nothing to me. But he said, you're a really good point guard. You, like I said, as I was teaching, I was coaching at St. Raymond's. I was also coaching at Monroe College because I was trying to, again, make so much money that I didn't want to run back to things that I knew. And I became homeless. You know, I got into it. You know, I was irresponsible with money. And I started living on my Ford Expedition. And then Oliver Antigua and Orlando Antigua was like, yo, you go stay with mommy. I was like, no, I can't stay here. It's like, yo, go stay with mommy. Stayed there. Kind of, again, coaching and everyone saw value in what I was doing because I held the kids accountable. I told them the truth and I knew what was going on because I had won as a you know, junior college, 4-year college, high school. I knew what it took to win. And I think we're still at a stage where you were allowed to work. Again, I worked camps.
Yeah.
I like Hoop Group. Rob Kennedy.
Yeah.
Kind of pulled me in, was like, hey, there's either going to be an opening at Iona or there's going to be an opening at Marist. Which one do you want? I said, I don't know. He said, well, you're going to interview. I think you're going to be a good coach. That's how that happened. And like, there was no passion for what I was doing. There was just, I loved the kids and I felt like I could reach the kids. If I could reach the kids, what you did in between the lines, man, is secondary.
Yeah.
But Chris, that was my biggest, that was my biggest claim to fame. And then you go into, well, man, you're good enough because as I coached AAU, I was still coaching high school. So you had the rapport, you had a relationship, and oh snap, those guys win a Peach Jam. Russell, Ronald, Yada. What's the Peach Jam? Like, all right, what's that? Well, that's Nike's biggest tournament. Okay, yeah. So what? We're supposed to do this. And I go to college, right? So I go to college, I go to Marist, Matt Brady hires me, and I still want to be involved with the program. But it was one of the weirdest things because as a college coach, I didn't realize, how individual based this deal is. This is like you're dealing with 2 to 3 players, whereas in the Gauchos, I was dealing with 20 to 30. And I remember Matt Brady saying, like, I think you're a Big East coach, man. Like the relationships, the rapport that you have with people, I think one of my biggest gifts that God has given me is I connect people. So if I'm in a room of 10 people, I'm going to connect all 10 of those people where we're all having a conversation. There's not going to be 10 separate conversations.
Yeah.
So Marist, I'm there for a year. I was a coach the first time. I had a couple of people say, listen, Book, the Gauchos need a director. You should direct, the guy that was directing, he's moving on. And I came back. And I said, I'll never be in college again. And sure enough, now I get this kid, Kimber Walker, that's freaking 14 years old, who, by the way, he was the 3rd or 4th best guard, not player, but guard on that team. And you got him for a couple of years. And as the legend would have it, I coached him to a Peach Jam championship. But what I did was I managed that group. Jordan Theodore.
What team? What team was that?
Scott.
What organization?
Gauchos.
Oh, the Gauchos. I didn't know y'all won. All right, the Gauchos. All right. I've been to y'all gym.
So
I've been to that gym.
Again, so Chris, like, I don't know if we have the most Peach Jams, but I do know I've been a part of 3 of them. And it's kind of like again, the teams I've coached in Peach Jam, we've never lost.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a summer, man, that people started saying Book is like Tiger Woods.
Wow. I
won a USA Olympic under-19 gold in the Olympic Festival as a head coach. I think I'm the youngest African-American coach to win one.
Wow, you won.
We won a Peach Jam. We won Vegas. Wow. That was one summer. The summer before that, 16s, those guys tore up. So you talk about a 2-year stretch where everyone thought I was skipping steps because you're winning at a high level. And then I remember Kenya Hunter, who I met, I was trying to help him with Justin Burrell, a kid who went to St. John's.
I know Justin.
So the reason I tried to help Kenya out at Xavier, because at that point they were power forward youth. And I thought like that kid would have made sense there. And I also think that people realize my hand was never out for a kid. I just was like, yo, for kids, what's in it? I didn't know the business of college basketball. I had no idea because I wasn't good enough to get recruited at that level. And I had friends that, you heard about it, but again, I had my own stuff going on. So Kenya Hunter, he gets Georgetown. And he says, Book, you already have college experience. I think it'd be really good there. I said, okay. Sean Miller went to school with Orlando Antigua.
Yep.
And my other best friend in life, Jerry McCullough. They all went to Pitt. Book, I think that'd be great. Sean's dope. All right. Boo Williams calls and says, listen, boy, you're going to take the job if he offers it. I'm going to call. I said, all right, well, okay. John Calipari had come by. He was recruiting Kimba when he's at Memphis. And he said, hey, kid, do you, him and Bruiser Flint kind of like jabbed at me. What's your 401k? What's your insurance package? And, what's your health and medical with? I said, well, I don't have one. He said, oh, okay. Well, they have that in college basketball. So I kind of knew where they were going with it because, again, Drexel was recruiting Chris Fouch, who went there. And I like Drexel got about 3 of our guys. And I always laugh like Drexel got 3 of our guys and Kimba went to UConn. Book got the bag. He's like, what bag? Because it wasn't about that. Like Kimba Walker, the reason he was successful at UConn, because that's where he wanted to go. I had no influence. What I did was I just leveled the playing field. And I was honest with guys. But there was no, he went there, he got that. That's why Kimba Walker was really good at UConn. Like Chris, AJ Price was there, Craig Austrie, Dougie Wiggins, Jerome Dyson. I said, Kimba, go to St. John's. He said, no, this is where I want to go. I said, you ready to compete? He said, that's my dream school. That's why he was successful there.
Word.
So, you win Peach Jam. I interviewed at Xavier back, I want to say, in May of that summer, right before I go to Olympic Festival. Right before I go to USA Olympic Festival. I interviewed. And I thought it was great. I didn't think I got the job. And he just was like, he said, no one killed you. He said, I had no one speak ill about you. And I just was like, well, I've never given anyone an opportunity to do that. He hired me. And I said, I don't know, coach. I want to coach my team. And can I get back to you? He said, yeah. If you want the job, it's yours.
What coaches? Was it Skip Prosser?
At Xavier.
Who was the coach?
Sean Miller that was his second year.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Okay. That's when him and Mick Cronin used to get into. Okay. Yeah. Cincinnati and all that era. Book, you went out? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So what happened was now you are in a situation where that summer passes. I go to Xavier in the fall. So I'm like, okay, I'm a full-fledged college coach. You have the 2-year run that you had in summer. We get to an Elite 8 at Arizona. Like, so think about this, Chris. My first year, we go 30-8 at Arizona, at Xavier. Yeah. My second year, I think we go 29 or something, but we go Elite 8, Sweet 16. Yeah. We lose in the Elite 8 to Russell Westbrook, Mbah Moute, Darren Collison, Kevin Love, that group.
That's a crew.
We get punished in the Elite 8. That's a crew. And, guys are like, wait up. Book, do you realize the numbers that, that you have on the board? Because I just thought like you won, And we get Tu Holloway, we get Mark Lyons, we get Jordan Crawford on a transfer.
Mm.
And you're involved with those guys. And by the way, like Tu Holloway, it's like my baby. You know, I coached him with the Gauchos, then he played with New England players. But you get him on, you know, he had committed to Indiana, and Coach Sampson had some stuff going, and we were able to get him on a bounce back. Jordan Crawford, you know, you get Mark Lyons. So those are arguably three of the best guards in the country. And after year two, Arizona opens. Sean says no initially. They get him again. I'm at a final with Coach Calipari at dinner, and he's like, you know, tell Sean stop being scared. And then he takes it, and he says, Book, I want you to come out here with me. I'm like, really? Now, Chris, what no one realizes, 2 years prior, I had won a tournament in Tucson, the Cactus Classic.
Okay.
Which they had gotten in trouble for. NCAA, you know, they got in trouble for.
Word.
And allegedly things were going on. And I'm like, nah, I didn't see anything. Like, shit, I'm mad that I didn't.
Yeah.
So it was pretty funny that, you know, you quote unquote come back to the scene of the crime. And, you know, you leave Xavier, then you go to Arizona. And, you know, the rest, as you get there, you didn't realize that that's such a mythical place, man. You didn't realize what a blue blood was. You had no idea what it was to recruit a player there.
Right.
Again, I never recruited UCLA, never against SC, Kentucky. Again, at Xavier, I'm recruiting against the Atlantic 10.
Yeah.
A couple of small Big East. And what you always say, we win here. We get to the tournament. What do you say against Kentucky? What do you say against Duke? What do you say against Carolina? What do you say against Florida? You know,
that national championship talk. You got to talk that.
So
title.
I'm telling you, and especially with them, you know, because again, you know, right? UCLA, they don't put up Final Four banners; they put up national championship banners.
Word.
You know, Howland had been to back Final Fours. Think about that shit.
Yeah, and they got his ass up out of there.
So, you know, I'm now in Arizona. I'm trying to figure it out, and I got these great relationships across the country. Because again, now I'm Nike grassroots. I've maintained relationships. I think I've done people the right way, and I've been honest. And now guys are saying, "Hey, Book, I can help you." But I didn't realize sometimes what help meant, like, you know, Book, hey, you got to figure some shit out. You know, and like I said, that's as you get to Arizona, as you get to a high major spot, man. Like you said, you talking about titles. You know, what do I say in the living room that Jim Calhoun's been in? What do you say in the living room that Ben Howland's been in?
Yeah.
What do you say to Tim Floyd's been in that
living
room? All those guys have had first rounders. They've had lottery picks.
Yeah.
What do you say? You know, so I think what no one understands is what it truly takes to get a player.
Right.
What it truly takes to get a win. What it truly takes for all of this stuff to happen, because fans just think they show up to your school because there's great parties, there's great alumni. It's like, Kansas has great alumni. They got great parties.
Yeah.
They got a big old beautiful dorm. You play it. What's better than that?
Right.
Paulie, like what's better than Paulie Pavilion? He like, again, you know, fight on, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky. So I've always said, as I've gone through my stuff, like, I never, and by the way, Chris, no one ever sat you down and say, Book, this is what it's going to take to get a player. You think another coach is going to tell me what it is to get a player? Now, so my relationship always had me involved. And then it was, okay, well, finish the deal. We're dating now, we got to marry. How are you going to marry? How is this arrangement going to work? Well, Book, this is what I need. I need to get the games. All right. Book, this is what I need. All right. You know, so as you go through it, and, you know, your staff is like, damn, that's what it takes to get a player. Yeah.
Man, and Book, and just so we're clear, Book, just so like the audience understands, like this is how it goes down across the board in big time basketball, whether or not folks are admitting it, whether or not they're talking about it. It's one of them big ass elephants in the room. that people just quite don't grasp. They think college kids are supposed to get the scholarship and be happy with that. They don't understand what else goes into it, the backgrounds that these kids come from, and there's needs, there's things that need to be provided. Just talk a little bit about that and the place that you were coming from when you did a lot of the things that you chose to do for kids.
The unspoken truth is, again, I was one of those kids that I wanted to take care of. And when I say take care of, I think my biggest thing was, once you're on my campus, Chris, if I'm recruiting, I sat down in your living room. I said, I'm going to make sure your son is good. Your son or daughter is good.
Right.
That didn't mean when they get to campus and they're hungry, I had to say, Chris, you know what, that's legal. I can't do it. Oh, motherfucker, when you sat me down, you said you would take care of them.
Yep.
So while they get sneakers, well, again, you know what? The new J's came out, man. Yo, coach. So this chick, I want to hang out. All right, got you. Hey, coach, I know, we get a meal plan, but maybe I'm gonna take a girl out. So those are the things you need to, coach, mom's really ain't got it. Pops really ain't got it. All right, what games they need to get to? Yo, damn, coach, your rent's late, mom's, because like I said, you do have some kids that they take they Pell check. They
send it home. Send it home.
Why are you doing it on my watch? Right? Because all the money that you're making for this university, granted, is it wrong? I get it. Am I a rule breaker? I broke the rules. I never broke a law. And my integrity, again, as a kid, because I identify with those kids. Were some of them getting over, coach, of course, they all do.
Yeah.
But I know this, if I'm recruiting you and I tell you I'm gonna do everything for you, then that's what I'm gonna do. Did I ever buy anybody a car? Never. I couldn't afford it. And then you start to look at like, well, this kid got $100,000. Well, I only made $200,000. You think I can do it?
Giving half your salary, get up out of here, man.
That's before taxes.
Yeah.
So I kind of laugh like, I've had people come and say, look, they need to build a statue of you in front of not Arizona, but the NCAA, because you saved college basketball. I don't know if I did, if I didn't, but I do know if you're on scholarship, that's enough money to get you by. But I do know, like, those you do have some special situations where this guy's the number 1 overall pick in the draft. This guy's number 2 overall pick in the draft. You don't think someone's pulling at him to get his services? Mm-hmm. And by the way, his platform, you don't think the university understands the platform? You don't think the university understands, like, when we travel places that that's free advertisement for them?
Yeah.
You don't think, well, hey, the scholarship does you, hey, let the agent pay for the kid to go to school. Now see what your scholarship does. Yeah. I remember I had a parent tell me, I don't want the scholarship. I want to walk on.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Why? Because I can't control you. I can't control your name and image and likeness.
Exactly. And that's the big problem that I see also, Book, in other sports where young kids turn professional, tennis, golf, these other sports where you can be pro and amateur and they have they don't have that blurred line. But I find that in college basketball, and specifically that was the sport that basically hamstrings you the most on being able to earn, being able to capitalize off of your talent.
The two revenue generating sports.
It's wild. Do you know how shady that is?
African American based.
That's shady.
And no one addresses that. But you start to say, again, you look at the NFL, you look at the NBA. Those are the two things we watch. Our issue turns into Title IX. Yeah. Because what you do for one, you have to do for the other.
Word.
There's your issue. Your issue isn't anything else. Like, how do we pay them? Where do we pay them? They're going to get paid.
It's how you pay everybody.
It's how you pay everybody. And I'm just saying, like, but in America, do we pay everybody the same? No, we don't. The CEO of Bank of America, I don't know if he gets paid the same as Chase. Is it equal billing? I don't know. But I do know this, like the disparity in terms of when you can pay a college head coach $6, $7, $8 million, then that means you can pay the kids.
Come on, man. 100%.
That means you could do it. But and again, this nasty game of, when you take money from sponsors, when you take money from the sneaker companies, when you take money from Budweiser, when you take money from Coca-Cola, you're taking money from them. Why? Not because because you have a great product. Your talent.
It's something they want to get behind.
That's it. Because again, let's say I identify early, now guess what? I identify with you, at 18, hopefully we can have a relationship through 28. Man, 10 years.
For real. Book, I think that one of the things that really stood out, I followed the whole case, the whole scandal, watched the movie. One of the things that really struck me about you as a man during that whole time, you never sold out nobody. You took everything on the chin. You ate it all. You did the time. Talk about your convictions as a man and why it is that you didn't basically snitch on nobody. And because we're in an era of snitching, of tattletelling, of cover your ass. You're a throwback, old school type. That's the thing I respect about you the most. That's one of the reasons I call you a legend, brother, is because of what you did, man. It's unbelievable. Just talk about that a little bit, bro.
Those 90 days were the worst 90 days of my life because, again, what it took away was your freedom, to be jailed, to be incarcerated, to have that happen to you over basketball. And my integrity wouldn't allow me to tell on anyone. As I said, man, I sat in those offices, whether it was the Department of Justice, whether it's the FBI, and they asked about a lot of schools. They asked about a lot of people independently. And I just was like, I don't know what they do. There was one situation where someone was like, we know where the bodies are buried because you buried them. Mm. And Chris, my point was, the last thing in the world I would ever want anyone to feel the way that I felt. Again, I was suicidal. I was depressed. I was emotionally distraught. You lose so much in such a short amount of time based on the decision that I made that I really thought I was helping a kid. And we're still 4 years and nothing has happened. But when you look at who the victims were, there were 4 Black assistant coaches that wore it. And this guy from New York City who's still wearing it, because I fight emotion with this because I'm now trying to figure some things out because I do need help. And it's the first time in my life that I've asked for help openly. And it's just like, what happened? Well, this is what happened. I spent 90 days in jail. You have a felony on your record at 48 years old. Basketball has been incredibly good to me. I'm not sure what else I can do in life. I also feel a certain compassion and conviction to help, no pun intended, to help kids, because I knew if I didn't have basketball, I would have been a long time ago. And Chris, you start to say like, all right, well, Book, you're trying to rebound. And as you try to rebound, you look in the rearview mirror and like, man, what happened? Because I have to explain to myself, you're a convicted felon. You have this felony. You have the scarlet letter that you can't get rid of. And I'm like, what do you do? Right? You lose everything. My family has been displaced. I've not worked a legitimate job in 4 years. I've been homeless again. I've slept in an office. I've gone through a divorce. $20,000. And by the way, I had some things going wrong in my life before this. But when you look at the big picture, you just start to say like, 20 grand. Like,
it's whack.
What I did.
It's fucking whack, dog.
So
it's whack.
I would never want anyone else to feel that way. And, again, I saw old school movies where, I saw Goodfellas. Hey, you go do your time, and when you come out, they take care of you. I thought that would happen. And unfortunately, I was wrong. And you know what? Everyone else, again, like I said, they protect themselves. They protect their investments. And that's okay. I still got to figure some things out in life. And, like I said, I'm asking for help. It doesn't have to be basketball. Hey, I guess there's other things I could do. But I didn't want, as I would tell a 28-year-old, I don't want to tell a 48-year-old version of me that I'm nothing, that I'm worthless, that I have no value, because that's what you think. You know what I'm saying? You go to jail, and I just, you think of yourself as nothing. You think like, I went to jail for a reason. So, I've owned everything, and
Yeah.
and that's it. And there's some proud days that I have, like, you know what, you did the right thing. And there's some days it's like, this code that you believe in, book. This code is bullshit.
It is. It is on a certain level,
but it's my code, and I stand on it. I am the Great Wall of China. I'm solid.
Yes, sir. No question about
I'm
it.
solid. Nobody can take that away. I'm as solid as they get. I'm as real as it get.
Absolutely.
And I don't know nothing else. I wish I did, because I know nothing else.
I know, man. Man, it's the emotions, man. I was watching your interview with Rashid and Bonzi, bro, and I was getting choked up too, because I realized, like, I didn't know you until I started watching these interviews and hearing you talk, man. And you really did it, man, from the heart, the love. Integrity means something to you, brother. And we don't find that a lot no more, man, in this game, where people really believe in their values and will sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? And that's something you did. So no matter what, Book, no matter what anyone out here says or whatever they looking at this shit like, man, you are not in the wrong. I don't care what rules and all that BS, because the rules is draconian anyway. The rules is bullshit from Jump Street anyway. And now they actually sent, you actually had to do time. I was reading where they was throwing, what, $1 million fine, and like how many, what was the original thing they was trying to hit you with?
$1.1 million fine, 60 years.
Come on, man.
60 years and a $1.1 million fine. Restitution as well for the conspiracy of bribery. Conspiracy to bribery.
Yeah, yeah. But Book, moving
in the Southern District of New York, where they prosecuted John Gotti, where they prosecuted El Chapo.
Yo, the Southern District does not fuck around. The Southern District does not fuck around at all.
Southern District of the world, most powerful. I salute them.
Yeah. Yeah. But being back involved with youth basketball, back in the gym at Gaucho Gym for the last several years, does that experience motivate, help inspire you, help keep your spirits up and keep your eye on the prize?
Most days, because I can still help, because I can help, directly. I tell coaches all the time, like, I got guys in my gym that can help you. And again, this is the heaviest I've ever been. I'm not as quick on the floor. I may be a lot of things. I may be the guy who risked my career for $20,000, but I still know talent. And I got talented guys in my gym every morning at 8:30 that I laugh and I marvel, this transfer portal, that you're gonna deal with a kid through a transfer portal that you don't know, versus dealing with a kid who I'm telling you, he can help you. And by the way, there's no strings attached. I just want to help a kid. And if I got friends, or associates, because that word you got to use loosely, family, friends, and associates. If I can help a kid get his degree, man, I think I did my job. I think that's God's work. I call this my sanctuary, my church. So that's what it's about for me. And as tough as it is, because like, I'm really bad around tournament time, because selection show, I know what I was doing for the last 10 years. I was figuring out who I had in the first round, what scout I had in the first round, or who I had, hopefully second round, looking at, what you were going to do with the guards that day. What, who would you help out with the bigs, or, what game plan. So it's emotional, because it's like something that you're used to. And it's like, when you have esteem issues, when you have character flaws, sometimes you gravitate to the thing that you think makes you the best. And it was basketball. And it's like, when that's taken away, I've had people say, well, what's next? And it's like, I don't know, because again, I'm the guy that you give me some hammer and you give me a hammer and some nails, I just go nail some shit up. And then it's like, whatever it looks like, it looks like. But when that's done, guess what? Give me some more hammer, give me some more nails, and give me another hammer. I'm going to go nail some more shit. I'm a worker. I'm a doer.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it.
Have you thought about have you tried to get into the league, the NBA on a certain level?
No, I mean, yes, yeah, I have. Like, again, it's COVID. You know, I've heard Book, it's COVID. It's, you know, there's so many things. And then I just laugh because I'm like, these are the same people who would call me for reports about kids. And it's like, guys, I'm not actually saying it's bullshit. I'm just saying, give me an opportunity, please. So, you know, that's what hurts, because everybody that I've helped in this situation, the only thing I'm saying is I need help now. Not I want help. I need the help. I'm not saying you have to hire me and put me on a bench. I'm not saying you got to hire me. You hire me and just say, hey, Book, I need a report every four weeks. If you don't want me around, like if I still have this stench on me, you know, because again, maybe you look at me as a corpse, you know, because I said that maybe people want this to go away, because again, it's been 4 years. And if you ask somebody, Book Richardson, they don't know. If you tell them what happened, they're like, oh, that happened. Whether it's the NCAA, whether it's Arizona, whether it's people that, you know, Sean Miller, everybody's that's involved, you just start to say, like, what happened to Book Richardson? Because everyone else, it's a happy ending.
But why do you think that, like, Arizona and your crew, your coach, like, it hasn't been a lot of public support for you? Or why do you think that is, that maybe they covered their own ass and kind of let you take the rap? That's how I looked at it, Book. I mean, they just let you be the fall guy and nobody says shit. And so, you know, they wash their hands, cleaned up. And now look at them, their situation. Sean Miller gets fired. They got a new coach, the whole nine. Just talk about that a little bit. Your thoughts on that, man.
Yeah, my thoughts on that is weird, because again, you know, everyone's CYA. I'm the only one that covered my ass. Again, my integrity didn't allow me to do it. And you can say I'm stupid. You know, I've heard stupid. I've heard so many things. And it's like, when I wake up, I'm okay. I look at myself. Yeah. And like I said, that integrity, it you know, the one thing I've said, at least people don't trustworthy. If not for anything else. And as I, you know, again, you talk about guarding Pandora's box, a lot of what Pandora's box, and I've seen want that to come out. Because basketball is still pure to me. Yeah. You know, other than the birth of my children, man, like I said, basketball has been the purest thing in the world to me. Yeah. And when those people choose to, you know, again, it's easy to dispel me and have me as a rogue agent than to say, if you have to deal with the university itself, everybody that's there would have been fired. Right. Had they admitted guilt, like I said, hey, you know, it was me. Right. It's over.
No, it's all the way done. Hold on real quick. I apologize. But can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. Oh man. Nah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Man, it's been a hell of a conversation today, bro. I appreciate you for coming on and sharing, you know, your journey.
You family.
Man, you family.
I get it, Chris, I get hit all the time. Yo, won't you write a book? You know, I know you need money. You should do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, I just need to get to a space where there's a level of sincerity where, yeah, you know, I will write a book. Sure. You know, I am. And I think for me, it'll exercise my demons, because like I said, I've been attacked in such a way that no one person should have to deal with. So, you know, again, this armor that I got on, you know, it takes a lot, man. You know, because again, everyone else is fine. And, you know, am I bitter? Yeah, sometimes. You know, am I bitter that, yeah, you know, some nights that, you know, I'm eating the McDonald's bundle, you know, double cheeseburger, fries, and, you know, and a sweet or Hasi orange, because they got Hasi orange back.
I heard about that. Hey, but you eating, Book, and you here, man, and you got a lot, man, and we love you, man, and anything that I can do, man, at any point in life, man, to help, bro, hit me up, man, because you're a real one, and everybody that I know in basketball has never had a bad thing to say about you. Everyone. You've recruited so many people that I know, parents, and just everyone's always just so much love for Book. I'm so glad that I finally got a chance to chop it up with you, my brother, and see, you know, really the man, that's who the real man is. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I wanted to do with this podcast, Book. I wanted people to hear it in your words, find out about you, man, and understand you're much more than $20,000 trying to help some kids, brother. And I just want you to understand that. Like, that's not going to define who you are, my man. And I have no doubt, because you're a grinder and a hustler, and you're going to get it done. So I have no doubt, man, you're going to be back on top doing the thing that you love, my brother. And I'm banking on that, bro.
I appreciate it. And like I said, I'm always here, man. I'm a phone call away.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Book Richardson. Thank you, sir. We'll talk, all right?